Welcome back to another class on Halacha for women. We are in the series called Otzar Danim by Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef Shlita. There is a great misconception regarding women covering their hair at the time when they bless, or at the time when they daven Shemona Esrei, or even when they learn Torah. We want to see today that even single girls is preferable at the time when they're blessing and davening and learning Torah, their hair should be covered. Again, since we don't do it today, the custom is not to do it, we'll see Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef Shlita is going to say that it's okay, you have what to rely on, but there's always the better option. So let's just read the halachot inside and we'll see it from there. Na'arot revakot sheholachot beli kisui rosh av birshut harabim. If you have single girls that walk in a public domain without a head covering, v'nohogot litpalal u'v'levarech beli kisui rosh, and they're accustomed to praying Shemona Esrei and to blessing berachot without a head covering. V'chein minhagam gam bebeit haseva hachardi beit Yaakov, and so too their minhag is like this in the Haredi yeshivot of the Beit Yaakov. Af al pi she'en lemachot biyadam, even so that they're being lenient, you should not protest against them. Sheyesh lahen al ma she'yismechu, they have what to rely on. Mikol makom, nevertheless, lechatchila, the best course of action, yesh lehorot lahen lechasot roshan be'eder shemivarachot u'mitpalalot. You should educate them, you should teach them that at the time when they are saying the barachot and when they're davening Shemona Esrei, they should cover their head. U'be'eder shelomodot tanach behaskarat shem Hashem. And at the time when they're learning Torah, Nevim and Ketuvim, by mentioning Hashem's name over there, they should also go ahead and cover their head. Especially, it's correct for the girls, the single girls, to be particular at the time when they're davening Shemona Esrei to cover their head. Nevertheless, nevertheless, you should not protest against girls that are lenient in this matter. They have on what to rely. So comes Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shlita and he says like this: even though we know that our daughters Bli and Har Baruch Hashem, they go to the yeshivot, Beit Yaakov, Shevach, right? It doesn't matter which yeshiva they go to, and the custom is not to cover their head. At home they don't cover their head. Outside they walk and they don't cover their head. So therefore Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shlita says they are allowed to continue doing it, and you don't have to protest against them. But it is best to educate them at the very least. Okay, in school, it might look awkward. Why is she covering her hair? Unless it's old Sephardi school, maybe over there you should educate them that they should cover their hair at the time when they're saying barachot and davening and when they're learning Torah. But if it's Ashkenazi and Sephardi, it's going to look awkward. Some girls have a head covering, some girls don't have a head covering, meaning all they got to do is like something like a kippah put on top of their head and that's it. We're not speaking about covering your whole head like a married woman does. So maybe in these yeshivas, in Sephardi yeshivas, maybe they should implement it lechatchila just at the time when they're blessing or when they're davening or when they're learning, they should just cover their hair. But again, that's the best course. That's the proper course of action. But if you see that women don't do it, meaning the girls they don't do it, you do not have to protest against them. They have what to rely on. Nevertheless, the Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shlita did bring down. He says we should still. It's correct to be a particular at least by Shemona Esrei. If you cannot do it by barachot, you cannot do it by learning Torah. But at least when you're down in Shemona Esrei, you should try to do your best to cover your head. Now, if it's very hard to do it outside, right? When you're in school, you might be embarrassed, no problem. But at home, when a girl is at home, she should definitely try to do her best to cover her hair. She wants to say a bracha, sha'akul b'dvaro, cover the hair. And again, because there are many halachot to this, why they should cover their hair, it's just the custom is not, and they have what to rely on today, so therefore we don't protest. But if she's able with ease to go and just put on, I don't know, any cover, like a napkin or anything, and say the bracha, or even when she's davening at home, when she's davening shacharit at home with the Shemona Esrei, she can cover her hair, not a problem. Lechatchila, we want them to do it. But if they're not going to want to do it, don't protest against them, it is fine. Continues Rav Yitzchak Yosef and he says, what about a married woman? This is a very big problem. Isha Nisua, a married woman, chayevet mitzad adin lechasot et rosha Beta berachot v'hatifila. A woman who is married, she has an obligation from the halacha to cover her head at the time when she's blessing and at the time when she's davening Shabbat Esrei. She doesn't have any leniencies. Even if she's davening at home. Also at the time when she is learning Tanakh, Torah, Nimim, Ketuvim, she has to cover her head. She needs to cover her head. So we see over here that there's a very big difference between a single girl and a married woman. So this is a very big problem, because a lot of times when you go, right, people tell me, Rabbi, my wife wants to bless, but she doesn't have her head covered. I mean, again, she covers when she goes outside, but when she's inside the house, she tries to, she wants to be a little bit more loose, more free, whatever the situation might be. So now she wants to eat an apple, she wants to say hamotzi, or she wants to pray Shabbat Esrei, she doesn't have her head covering on. Rabbi, is that a problem? It is a problem. A married woman must have her hair covered at all times when she's saying berachot, when she's davening Shabbat Esrei, and when she's learning Torah, Nivim, and Ketuvim. So this misconception, Rabotai, has to be cleared out, because many times, we've seen it many times, this question has come up. My wife, she says berachot without her head covering. Why should she have her head covering if she's at home and there's no man looking? It has nothing to do with men looking or not. It's everything to do with having your head covered, because that reminds you of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In any event, we see today that single girls, they have what to rely on if they don't want to cover their head. Married women must cover their head when they're blessing, when they're davening, and when they're learning Torah. No exceptions. Rabotai, have a great day. Baruch Adonai L'Olam. Amen ve'amen.